Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And today, the Carenado's PC-12 was finally released in the Microsoft Flight Simulator marketplace, and we are going to check it out. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, so I have been waiting for this. It is so awesome to have another aircraft that's very similar to my TBM 930. Yes, it's all mine. It is my TBM 930. And today my wish was granted with the PC-12. Super excited to have this aircraft on board. I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunity. Hopefully it's in a bit better shape than the TBM is. The TBM 930 was perfect with the mixed mod, but we know that there's been some issues, obviously, with that development process, given the fact that he's part of all the craziness happening in Ukraine. So the Carenado PC-12 is a very welcome addition. This aircraft is sleek looking and keeping up with Carenado's reputation. Obviously, the interior and exterior textures all look absolutely fantastic. No concerns there whatsoever. Their model working is always on par. You guys know that their flight models are typically pretty darn good, at least from a simulation standpoint. Given the fact that I have no real world experience with these aircraft, I can tell you that they're fun to fly. Now, this particular aircraft, I have yet to take airborne. I've done a little bit of perusing inside the cockpit, sort of messed around with a few things, but nothing too crazy yet. So today we're going to be trying everything out together, and we'll be rolling the aircraft from its parking spot for the first time during this recording. So let's go ahead and jump into the cockpit now. Now, one of the cool things that I do want you guys to be aware of with the Carenado PC-12 is following suit with much of the work that they do. You have a bunch of different features. Let's make sure that I know what I'm doing here. There we go. A bunch of different features that are always common with their aircraft, such as little things like the tables can fold out on all sides here. The cabin door does open, so if you want to set up your flights, you can definitely drop the door, load up, and then it's a little tricky finding the spot to bring it back up, I have noticed. Let me see. I might have to move my camera just a bit. Let's do this here. I do recall it was a little, there we go, right there. And that brings the door back up and locks it. Already set up a couple of views, nothing too crazy here. Again, the interior textures, as you can see, looks very, very nice. The armrests do fold up if they happen to be in your way. You can remove the yokes just like with any of the other aircraft. I actually really like the yoke of this aircraft. It looks very sleek. There's just something about it that is really appealing to it. Parking brake over here, landing gear over here, pressurization systems here. Obviously, your primary flight displays, your engine and fuel gauges, avionics, both nav. You have two nav computers. You have this one here and this one down here. And then Autopilot System, and you have two transponders. There's one, there's two down there, and then your comms configuration. So very simple laid out cockpit as far as I can tell. Now, the documentation is a little tricky to get to. You guys need to make sure that you find your packages, go to the One Store, and then from the One Store, go to the aircraft and find the Carenado PC-12. Then go to your Sim Objects folder, and from inside there, you should have a folder that says Documentation, and you can find the checklist. The checklist is not in the checklist window, unfortunately. I do hope that's something they address. I really wish this was something that was used more frequently than it still is. It's still something that tends to be lacking, and I don't understand why that is. I think it's a crucial piece when purchasing a new aircraft, especially when you have the documentation buried the way that the Microsoft Marketplace aircraft are. So they can be sort of tricky to find. So it is in there. You just got to know where to go and get it. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to get the engine started, and hopefully I don't miss anything. Keep in mind, I'm definitely not a pro with this aircraft. I've had it for about an hour and have yet to move it from the parking spot. So if we run into any weird issues, we'll address those at the time and hopefully figure things out together here. So let's step up to stop, and we're going to first turn our battery on. Holy mercy, that was noisy. There's battery 1, battery 2. We need to set our fuel to the automatic systems here. Nav lights, wing lights, beacon light, letting everyone know the aircraft's getting ready to rock and roll and make some magic happen. So let's see here. Let's go ahead now, and I'm just double checking myself here. So we got our batteries, got 24 volts or more. Ignition is set to auto. All right, I think all that is good according to the checklist. I'm sort of walking through it here. I'm not following every single step in the checklist in regard to the pre-flight, because it walks you through literally everything. The exterior inspection, all that good jazz. It is a looks like a real world startup checklist. Gosh, why was that so hard to say? But let's see here. Okay, so now I think I've got everything here. Yep. Now, if we had external power available, we could use it, but apparently we don't have it available at this particular location. Now, I could request it, but let's go ahead and just get things rolling here. Now, we are going to simulate that we are fully fueled and all that is set up, so no smoking signs on and seatbelt signs turned on. Inertial separator, according to the documentation, this is sort of different from the TBM, and I'm wondering if this is how this differs. So in the TBM 930, according to the real world documentation, inertial separator should be on anytime there's any kind of icing or possible debris conditions flying through clouds, whatever it may be, and also while taxiing and on the ground. In case you're getting birds, debris on the ground, whatever. Now, according to the documentation for this particular aircraft, you only need the inertial separator on in what do they call it? Basically unpaved roads, right? Or unpaved taxiways, runways, etc. But we'll probably still turn it on for taxi because it seems like that's just a smart thing to do with the inertial separator, especially being out in the desert like this, right? All of your interior lights are right here. Cabin lights, dome lights, floodlights, instrument lights, everything's right down here. You have your flaps handle, and then on the other side of the throttle, here's the condition lever. Obviously, we have our throttle and the manual override. And then your trim switches, if you need manual trim control here, you have that there as well. Let's go ahead and set our barometric pressure. That's kind of nice. I'd adjust that nice and easily with the B key. All right, so let's go back upstairs here. Here's our NG rating. We're going to be pushing the starter button. We're going to be looking for 13%, and then we will move the condition lever from cutoff over to ground idle. So let's step upstairs. There's our starter. Grab that guy. Oops. There we go. Like the sounds. The sounds are pretty cool. There's rotation on the prop. There's 13%. We're going to come down here. Give it one click. It goes to ground idle. And we should be able to go to flight idle. And this is what I'm noticing. So you can see the prop is clearly accelerating, but we're not seeing any increase in NG. And that has me kind of concerned that I may be doing something wrong. So let's take another peek at that for just a second. Oh, I feel like I'm moving something. Power lever. Says to the idle detent. But when I add throttle, we're not getting anything more. Now I hit Control E and that completed something. So we ran through the auto start, so I missed something. I just don't know what it was. Sort of do a quick peruse here. There it goes. Now it's rolling. So I definitely did something wrong on the engine start. Gen 1's already on. Avionics masters are on. Was the ESS? I can't remember if that switch was moved or not. No, because I can't even move that now. Inverter can go to Gen 1. Gen 2 can come on. Really wondering what I missed, guys. As far as I could tell, I hit everything according to the checklist. I don't see any of the power switches that have changed. Oh, I think the the emergency fuel shutoff handle, I think that was pulled. I don't think we had any fuel in this by default. I'll bet you that's what it was. That would absolutely make sense. And I think I remember that red lever sticking out. So that's probably what I did wrong. But other than that, all right, well, we still got it. So we're ready to go here. I'm going to go ahead and turn the taxi lights on. Still pretty badass. I love the sounds. The sounds are great in this thing. Absolutely fantastic. Listen to that. Rotation around the aircraft, sound, our dynamics, sounding really good. Theme sounds mean, man. Now, I believe we want to go back to ground idle for taxi, though. There we go. Perfect. All right. Let me get the old head tracker turned on and we'll get rolling here. This is exciting. I've been waiting so long for this aircraft. All right. So let's see here. Okay. Now, before taxi, we want flaps at 15. So here's our flaps indicator. Flap switch coming down. And let me get down to our before taxi. HRS. Now, AHRS 1 and 2, if installed, check no flags. I don't see any flags on them. The switches are all in the default position. I believe these are the flag lights right here. Now, again, I'm still learning the aircraft, so if I'm mistaken on something for the first video, forgive me. I promise we'll be learning this aircraft very, very religiously. I really want to learn this one. Alright, and let's see here. Just looking through everything. We do a flight controls check. Pilot ventilation window is closed. External light switches as required. Parking brake ready to release. Brakes check. Flight emissions check. Passenger wing switches on. We got those on already. Takeoff power settings should be calculated. I do believe there is documentation for that. Today we're just going to kind of wing it, not going to lie. But let's go ahead and release the parking brake. And let's see what happens as we start to push her out. Brake check. Brakes are good. Control surfaces responding. And let's start turning it. See what winds are. 120 at 15 knots. We get to use 11 left. Yay! I always have to taxi all the way down to 29 right, and today we do not have to. Whoa, she likes to taxi. Mercy. Gotta love those turboprops. They love to move. Nose wheel steering is extremely responsive, which is awesome. That is the nice thing about having these third-party developers make some of these aircraft is you get that benefit. Man, we are at idle position on the throttle. We're at ground idle on the or ground power on the condition lever. She just wants to move. Now, we didn't turn on the inertial separator like I said I was going to. Again, according to the documentation, we don't have to. It just sort of doesn't make sense to me. But let's go ahead and turn it on. I believe I need to use my camera switch because I can't remember exactly which one it is. There it is. Let's turn that on. Landing lights come on, strobe lights on, recog lights. Let's see what they look like. There's the recog lights blinking there. There's our landing lights there. Taxi light obviously on the nose wheel. Looks good. Looks real good. Lighting is very nice. All right, let's go. So now I'm going to go ahead and kick that condition lever back up to flight idle or flight power. Inlet temperature, torque. That's what I'm going to be monitoring. Watch that torque needle here. Airspeed indicator down there. I'm going to be looking for about 90 knots on the rotation, right? Actually, it looks like we're going to be looking about 70 knots on the rotation. Let's try that. So here we go. Watching that torque. I'm going to keep it underneath the max arc there. I like the digital gauge. Whoa, baby. Hey, right rudder, come on. I am putting a lot of right rudder in. It's a lot of torque there. There we go. Come on back. There we go. There we go. There's 70 knots. Pulling back. Come on. 80 knots looks like that would have been the better way to go. That's all right. Letting off that rudder. Good climb. Gear coming up. Got a torque warning there. Badass. Very cool. Just like the TBM. Let's see what our airspeed's like. Let's go ahead and pull those flaps back. Start trimming aft here. Trim a little slow on the response, but I don't know if that's always necessarily a bad thing. And also, I don't know how much. I really think that my trim hat on my Thrustmaster Warthog, I think the aft trim is starting to have some problems. It just doesn't work like it used to. Yeah, I think it's my flight stick having an issue. Which really bums me out. I don't know why that's been a problem lately. So far she's flying beautifully. Climbing very well. I'd say the performance, I mean, obviously, is going to be similar to the TBM. Yeah, man. There she is. Freaking awesome. Trim. I don't know why my trim hat isn't working. It's really breaking my heart here. I'm gonna have to try to rebind it because it's just not working for me. But let's go ahead and check out the autopilot system. Yaw dampers on, flight directors on, autopilot master on, altitude. Let's set our altitude. Wow, why did I do that? Set my initial altitude to 99,000 feet. I am using the Class Echo from Shake Print to control all of my autopilot controls. It is very, very easy to use, very handy to use. Right now, we're still on manual flight control. I'm just spinning the altimeter until I get to the altitude I want. We have a warning. What's our warning down there? Oh, there we go. Now she's starting to bounce out a little bit. Let's see, what is this? AOA de-ice. I need some de-ice, really? AOA de-ice. What would be AOA? We could probably turn the inertial separator off. Probes? Yep. Okay, fair enough. Watching that torque again with the inertial separator off. Alright, so here we go. Let's go to heading mode. And there's that heading bug responding very nicely. Altitude currently is set for 15,000. Let's get it down to about 9,000. Let's mess around here for a minute. Set for a nice slow cruise. Engine oil's in the green. Temperature, pressure, fuel gauges. I love the console. The console looks so cool in this aircraft. You know, actually, I think I'm going to lock us down at about 7,500 feet. Autopilot doesn't seem to be responding exactly well to my class echo, so I'm wondering if that's a problem here. Yaw dampers on, autopilot's engaged, flight directors are on, altitude, there's that. Alright, so we got that going for us. Now let's try vertical speed. Oh, there it goes. It's coming down. Alright, cool. Look at that. What an awesome, awesome aircraft. Screenshot time. Let's grab that one. That's a good one. Very, very beautiful aircraft. The Nav System is actually pretty cool looking. I sort of can't wait to check this one out. So hit any of the LSKs here, the line select keys, and you get quite a bit here. Check this out. Look at that. We can declutter it. Although, if anything... Oh, maybe you have to go... Oh, there we go. You have to go back. Center view, base map, weather radar. So there's lots of information we'd have to adjust here. I have to definitely learn how to use it, but I like this. It's cool. You can really get down there, man. That is slick. And then obviously you have the Garmin up here as well. Lots to work with this particular aircraft. This is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to try this one out. So now, the moment of truth has arrived. I'm going to disengage the autopilot. There's that wonderful bell. And I'm going to start to descend here. Going to idle because we're going to descend rather quickly. Extend out a little bit here. I don't suppose the thing has speed brakes, does it? What was that noise? I love all the noises this thing has, dude. It's like an airliner mixed with a GA. I really love this design. This is a very cool airplane. I'm definitely going to be taking some serious time to learn this one. I think we're going to be able to slow it down. I'm trying to extend out quite a bit here because I'm really concerned about being able to get it slowed down fast enough. So all right, let's pull up here. Looking for that wide arc, and I can start putting some flaps in. A little wide, not too bad. Still need to keep descending. I'm going to drop flaps one a little early, but I got to start getting some airspeed out of this thing. Let's turn our yaw damper off for the approach. Go ahead and drop the gear. Add some drag in there. Again, very steep approach. Let's go flaps 2. There she goes. And I'm going to be looking for about 80 knots on the approach. Let's get that nose up. Add some power back in to maintain. Going for full flaps. I really like this plane, man. Really like this plane. Turn the separator back on for landing. That's better. Now let's just bring it in here. This is all guessing, but it's also to show you guys, part of the reason why I do this, and don't always follow everything by the book, is to show you guys who may be hesitant to get aircraft like this because you think that you have to learn every little intricacy in order to enjoy it. You really don't. You know, you can, this is simulation, you know, enjoy it, you know. Expand out, branch out. Dive into an aircraft you didn't think you'd normally fly. This is a simulator. This is the beauty of it. You guys can make all the mistakes that you want. A little bit of a space shuttle approach, but not too bad. Looking for my piano keys there. Crossing the threshold, powered idle. Looking up. Not too bad. Not perfect. I definitely have some learning to do with this aircraft. I think my approach was definitely fast. But it's alright. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Bring it around. There was a little bit of stuttering and framing today. So I don't know how much of that was maybe something going on my PC or maybe some optimization issues. Not calling anything out yet because I'm really not sure. Strobe light, recock light, fuel pumps are still good. Inertial separator will leave on. Probe lights can turn, or probe heats can turn off. Let's come back downstairs. Let's get the flaps up. Clear that master caution. That was just because I turned the probe heat off. Oh, and let's set that condition lever down. Oof, 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 oof. Now, nose wheel steering here at this speed is probably the speed, but I'm having to use quite a bit of differential braking at the moment. Again, not sure if that's by design or just what's happening at the moment. Oh, I made that turn way early. Yeah, it's a little weird right now. It's really a little weird. Sort of struggling here. But for my first flight, I'm not going to complain too much. Pay attention, Jesse. All right, let's lock her down here. Let up there. Start letting that engine come on down. Whoa, did you hear that? That sounded badass when it stopped. That was awesome. Awesome. That was cool. Very freaking cool. All right, guys. Well, that is about the best that I can give you for an initial flight without diving deeper into the documentation, which I fully intend to do. It's just a matter of getting to that point where we have the research to do so. I know that, like myself, many people were very anxious and waiting for this aircraft. So I wanted to try to get you guys something as quickly as I could that was at least meaningful and brought some good information to it. I thoroughly enjoyed this aircraft, and I am super excited and very glad that it's finally here. We're going to be doing a lot of flights with it. Anyone who's been following my NeoFly career, this is the aircraft that I've been waiting for. That's why I haven't purchased anything like the TBN or anything. I wanted to wait. I wanted to see what this aircraft was going to be like before I made any kind of purchases. I really enjoyed this, and we're going to be flying this again over the weekend. We'll do a longer flight. We'll do some flight planning. We'll do some flight plan entry into the computer, and then see what a full commercial flight would be like in this particular aircraft, or a private flight, excuse me. Super excited, and I highly recommend you guys check out the Carenado PC-12. As always, guys, leave your questions and comments down below. I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. Stay safe and healthy. Tomorrow is Friday, so happy Friday to you all, and I will see you guys in the next one.